Good evening, everyone. It is 7:30, so we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. I'll get to the thank yous here in just a moment, so we'll just go ahead and get started. We'll begin with the invocation by Reverend Bob Deardorff, Beautiful Savior Lutheran Church. Bob, if you'd be so kind.
It's my pleasure. We pray. Good and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you this night for the many blessings you have showered upon us, even as we thank you for the rain shower outside. We thank you for having granted us the gift of government for the protection and provision for our citizenry. We thank you for those who serve, elected and employed to bring about your will for good for our community. As this meeting proceeds, Lord, we would ask that you would send your Spirit upon us, the Spirit of patience and civility, a Spirit of wisdom and kindness. We thank you for the guests present tonight who have come from far distances. Let them see the best in North Platte, and let us, Lord, be your instruments for good. Please grant your blessing and protection to our law enforcement and fire and rescue workers that take such risks and do so much for us, and our armed forces from here that are scattered around the world. We commit ourselves to your great and loving care through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Here.
Prayer.
Here.
Here.
Here. All right. If I may, when you come in the doors, there's some agendas on the back table back here. If you didn't get one, if you'd like to have one, there should be some back here. I want to just draw your attention to the meeting procedures this evening. And that is the public may address specific agenda items at the pleasure of the mayor. If recognized by the mayor, please state your name and address and limit remarks to 3 minutes or less. Out of respect to city employees, we request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in the public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or mayor. An individual in violation will be declared out of order. A current copy of the Open Meetings Act of Nebraska is posted at the wall at the back of the council chambers. Before we get started on a regular or consent agenda, I'd like to introduce you to a number of people this evening. I'd also have a proclamation. We have Up With People members here this evening, and folks will get to here in just a second, but I have a proclamation I'd like to read, then I'll ask you folks to come up if that's all right. Can we do that? Okay. All right. Whereas Up With People was founded in 1965 during a turbulent period in the United States as a positive voice for young people. And whereas Up With People is an international educational and cultural program for young adults between the ages of 17 and 29 that brings people together through volunteerism and music. And whereas Up With People exemplifies the quintessential idea that we can bring positive change and solve problems communally when we work together. And whereas nearly 24,000 young men and women from more than 96 countries have come together in over 194 casts to deliver a common message and hope and goodwill to the people around the world. And whereas Up With People has visited more than 4,000 communities in 71 countries, and whereas Up With People has over 3 million hours of community service with 500,000 host families who have welcomed the many casts in this more than 50-year history. And whereas a cast of 100 Up With People volunteers from 20 different countries will be staying with 50 host families in North Platte this week as they volunteer their time through local humanitarian operations such as the North Platte Public Schools and others. And whereas Up With People extends a universal call through their music for an understanding between people of different cultures and nationalities to renew the principle that our sisters and our brothers keepers. And whereas Up With People celebrates the profound impact of volunteerism and music that encourages people to discover their own power on how to make a difference and build a brighter future in their neighborhoods, their cities, their nation, and the world. Now therefore, I, Dwight Livingston, by virtue of authority vested in me as mayor of North Platte, Nebraska, do hereby proclaim September 3rd, 2018 through September 10th, 2018, as Up With People Week. So, Carlos and friends, I know Carlos, can the rest of you, would you like to come up?
Right.
I'll get out of the way so they can see you guys.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carlos. I'm from Mexico City. I'm one of the advanced persons in North Platte. It's been a great pleasure for me to, and my colleague Axel, to work here throughout these 6 weeks. We are very excited that the international cast of Up With People arrived yesterday. 100 people from 20 different countries are coming to North Platte. We're going to be working with around 13 different organizations like the schools, Habitat for Humanity, the Prairie Arts Center, and others, doing some impact works on these organizations. We're also having 3 benefit concerts to benefit the 2 school foundations and the community playhouse. We have some shows Thursday, September 6th at 7 p.m., and 2 shows on Sunday, September 9th at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. These are some of my colleagues from Up With People, and they're all from different countries, so it's a great pleasure to be here today. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Carlos. Okay. We'll begin with the consent agenda. All matters on the consent agenda are considered to be by the city council be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any council member may, however, remove an item from consent by request. All right, item number 1 is approved minutes of August 21st, 2018. Item number 2, place on file ML&W reports for July 2018. Item number 3, approve application by Cornhusker Liquor and Tobacco for a special designated license on October 6th, 2018 from 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. at the D&N Event Center, 501 East Walker Road for a cancer benefit. Item number 4, approve application by Pals Brewing Company, LLC for a special designated license on October 7th, 2018 from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the La Quinta Inn and Suites, 2600 Eagles Wings Place, for the Chris Jarvis Autumn River Run Marathon. Item number 5, approve application by the Platte Inc., Platte Bar for a special designated license on October 20th, 2018 from 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. with the alternate date of October 27th, 2018 from 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. at the Platte Bar, 119 West 6th Street for a car and bike show. And item number 6, authorize the Public Service Department to sell a Bobcat loader and 6 vehicles that are no longer being used. Item number 7, adopt recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission for preliminary final approval of the Wilk First Replat located at 3316 through 3410 West A Street and 104 through 110 South Bear Avenue. And item number 8, approve mayor's appointment of Daniel Hudson for the position of Chief of Police effective October 27th, 2018. Yes, sir.
I'd like to remove number 8.
Okay.
Move that we approve items 1 through 7 of the consent agenda.
Second.
And that motion passes.
I now make a motion that we approve the mayor's appointment of Daniel Hudson for the position of Chief of Police effective October 27th, 2018.
Yes, sir.
We have Mr. Hudson come and introduce himself. Before we pass sentence here. Hi.
Well, glad to have you here, Mr. Hudson. Would you like to say a couple of words before we take this vote?
Well, certainly. First and foremost, thank you for all the folks that came out tonight, and I had an opportunity to meet briefly. I look forward to, in the future, pending this vote, having a lot of opportunities to sit down and actually talk to you and to learn more about the community. My wife Jerry's here with me tonight, and we're looking forward to coming home. I'm from I graduated in western Nebraska in Hemingford. My family's all in the Omaha area. We've been in Los Angeles for a little over 25 years, and it's time to come home, and we look forward to it. We've been here a few days, and the overwhelming sense of welcome and just the outpouring of thoughtfulness has been overwhelming. But it's exactly what I would expect from Nebraska, and this is home, and we've been here. You know, we've been gone for a little bit, but our heart never left. We've always had the idea of coming home, and we look forward to serving this community. And I'll tell you folks, I don't take it for granted that the level of trust that's put in us to have a conversation one day on Monday with the Civil Service Commission, and to have a conversation with the mayor and Mr. Hawks, and then have them make the decision to say, hey, Dan, we want you to come. I understand the trust that's put in us to say, we're going to let you run our police department. And I am tremendously honored and proud and thankful, and I will work hard every single day to make sure I uphold that oath that I'll take, and to uphold and ensure that the organization meets the standards that set forth by you guys, the community. And this is about the community. It's about our organization, and it's about building relationships and being open and transparent, and truly moving forward, and being part of this community. We don't, you know, I've lived in an area where I worked, and it was hours commute every day. You know, that we joked about it in our process that I've never been to a high school football game in Los Angeles. I've never been to a basketball game in Los Angeles. And we're looking forward to being here and being part of the community and being at those events. And please, when you see us at those events, come up and talk to us. And if you're gonna say mean things, let my wife go to the bathroom first. Because she'll say, I told you about that. You did. She'll be the first one. She's my best supporter, but also my honest backing of saying, So she's been telling me all week can't make statements about the fire, our brothers at the fire department stuff. But we're proud to be here. We're honored to be here, and we're truly excited to come home and be part of this community. And Chief Swain, the level of expertise and professionalism that you've run this organization has been tremendous, and I hope that I can, in our private conversation, I promised the chief I will do nothing that will ever embarrass him, embarrass this committee, or embarrass this community. So we're excited to be here, and we're proud to be here, and we look forward to, we have a little bit of business to take care of out on the West Coast, and then we're coming home, and we look forward to being part of this community. This is where it gets tough now.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank
Appreciate
you. I
it.
look forward to meeting everybody, and thanks again for coming out.
And the vote was 8-0. Congratulations, Dan. We're happy to have you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And before we do get started with the regular agenda, I would like to take a moment and say thank you, a big thank you to Renee. I don't know where she is. Renee, thank you so very much for what you did and put this together, the opportunity for us to meet Dan for the last hour or so. We really appreciate the work you put into that. I know there was others involved. Gloria, thank you for the banana bread. That's always a hit. And those that brought in cookies and such, we really, truly appreciate it. There were some big cookies back there. So thank you very much for the work that you all provided to help us see Dan and have an opportunity to meet him and his family and his wife. So Thank you very much for being here. Okay, now, regular agenda, here we go. Item number 9, presentation by Robert Stefka of Commercial Investment Services regarding Hall Elementary located at 3191 North Studley Road.
Good evening. Judy, I think they'll have a little short video for you.
Oh,
There, you got it.
Thank you, Judy. I could probably do this, but
Yeah.
doubt it. What I'm going to be showing you is what we're going to be talking about for 2 seconds, and show you what we're going to do with Hall School
Want it to go?
out on.
Ready?
Yes. Hall School is a 22,000 square foot building. That's half an acre, and it does sit on 5.2 acres of ground. Give you an idea of the feel of the expanse of the property and what is involved with the building and the structure and the layout inside.
That'll be auctioned twice. Thank you, Judy. A couple minutes this evening is Hall School presently sits in an agricultural zone, and that allows general farming and ranching activities, including the raising of domestic livestock or animals by a person for his or her own personal use, 4-H projects, or similar family operations, but excluding any expansion or development of livestock commercial feeding operations. That's the zone it sits in. The reason we'd like you to be aware of that tonight is on September 27th, we're going to auction that property. It will be absolute. Whoever buys that property that day will own the property. The chances of an agricultural use continuing is probably very small on that property. There's a myriad of uses with the gymnasium. There could be dance schools, different types of physical and training and offices, so many myriads of uses. Our goal is to maximize the income that we can for the public school systems and the taxpayers of Lincoln County and the city of North Platte. Our sense is whoever purchases that will be coming to the city council and to the planning commission and asking for your consideration to maybe rezone that. We asked that, presented this last week to the planning commission. They weren't sure of anything that they would be absolutely against. 1/2 mile to the north, to the south, 1/2 mile to the east and west is owned by 3 different property owners, and none of those have residences on it. But it may be unique.
and we hope purposeful, and maybe a great blessing for North Platte as we grow and maybe provide some jobs. But they will be coming to you. Just wanted you to be informed and for your consideration. I know you have a busy evening. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for the scheduling.
Thank you, Rob.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, item number 10, public hearing on ordinance number 3997 to adopt the budget statement and to appropriate city monies for fiscal year 2018 through 2019. No action taken until September 6th, 2018. This is a public hearing. Bill, did you wish to speak? Bill, did you wish to speak? Yes, sir. Bill McCormick, if you'd be so kind, state your name and address.
I'm Bill McCormick, and I've lived here in North Platte for many years and worked for Municipal Light for 40 years. And I have some questions about what's in the budget.
Bill, could you provide your address, please?
Oh, it's 1220 East D Street.
Thank you.
My first question is, budget item 26, move 34.5 kV line on Lakeview Boulevard from east side to west side of street, from A Street to 2nd Street, at a budget cost of $250,000. I can't see why the people would want to let this happen. The line is on City Street right-of-way now and easy to maintain. There would need to be extreme guiding on both sides of the street at each end of the moved line. I would think the city would not let this happen even if private enterprise would pay for it. This line is a transmission line that serves right into Bailey Yard and into the downtown North Platte. For safety reasons alone, this high voltage transmission line should not be angled twice over Lakeview Boulevard. Any questions for that? Okay. My second item is budget items 16, 17, and 18. In the budget for year 2016-17, 2017-18, and 2018-19 to rebuild three 34.5 transmission lines. I assume we will have taken in $1,995,000 to date for 2 years, and will take in $1,045,000 in the next year, for a total of $340,000. When I drove by and looked at these lines, they looked as good as they did when they were built in the late 1950s, 60s, and early 70s. I would like to know the answer to what we are really doing here, or are we budgeting for income and not planning to do any rebuilding at all? Okay, my last and final one is at the bottom of page 7, electric emergency reserve. My records only go back to the 2004-05 budget year. Since then, the city has put $58,094,132 in the emergency reserve fund, and the 2018-19 budget calls for $8,249,214 more. Can you tell me what happens to the budgeted electric emergency reserve if there have been any emergencies, and how do you decide the amount as it isn't the same each year? Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
If anyone wants a copy of this, I'll be glad to let them have it.
Okay. Alan Air. And I want to make a few comments about the Iron Eagle Golf Course budgeting. And my questions are this: why have we not used historical losses in determining the total budget for Iron Eagle? If you continue doing the same thing, how can you expect different results? Second item is, do you have a realistic plan to operate at break even in the immediate future? Third item is, why do we need a non-property tax-paying public golf course that competes with property tax-paying golf courses? Is this really the role of the North Platte city government to compete with area existing tax-paying golf courses? Golf course demand has changed over the years, and North Platte has more usage available than demand will support. If the council cannot decide about this golf course, why not put it to the vote of the people? Those are my comments.
Hello, I'm Alan Hirschfeld, 720 South Carr Avenue here in North Platte. And I, like Mr. Erickson, want to make some comments about the golf course. I appreciate the mayor and the council and the city administration to opening up this hearing so we can do it. Before we get into the golf course, there's a couple things I want to mention to the leadership of our community, which would be all of you, that I very much commend your effort to put on the ballot a 0.5% sales tax for the community. I think there are a lot of things our community needs, and the funding that the 0.5% sales tax would provide would hopefully get us to some of those objectives. The other thing I wanted to say to you is, back in the late 80s and up to the vote in 1992 when the city passed the bondage for Iron Eagle, or at that time it was still just a golf course, public golf course, I was very much a supporter of it. I was a member of the North Platte Country Club. I felt our community needed a public course to compete with other communities like our side. Grand Island had their public course. Kearney was in the middle of their discussions about doing Meadowlark Hills, which of course they ended up building. And I felt North Platte needed a public course. And lots of conversations with Larry Coolman, who helped spearhead that thing, Wendell Wood, who are names you people recognize that were involved in it. But North Platte needed it. And by the way, I was in the minority out at the North Platte Country Club, now called River's Edge, by the way. In the late 80s, the 90s, and early 2000s, there was a humongous golf boom going on worldwide, and the United States was taking part in it. We were building golf courses like crazy. And just to give you some numbers here, in the late 80s, there was right around 9,000, 9,500 courses. That's blurred because some of them are in progress, and whether you count them, whether they're open yet or not, different people look at it different ways. By the year 2000, there was over 15,000 golf courses in the United States, 15,300 to be exact. I mean, the numbers of, and we were taking part in that growth. I mean, Lincoln County, this area was taking part in that growth. We have the 3 fancy courses up north. Fortunately, most of them don't get the opportunity to play, but they are nice courses, and they are part of what's available in golf in this area. Some courses that really affect play in North Platte, Wild Horse Golf Club in Gothenburg opens up, and a wonderful course. I mean, it's unbelievable how many people that live in North Platte belong to that golf course. That's a new golf course. And something, I called Jim States. I was coming home a day early from a trip so I could be here tonight, and I called Jim States. He's the president of the Lake Golf Association, Lake Lemonia Club in the late 80s, and I wanted to find out when they did their development. And they irrigated out there and put in grass greens in 91 and 92. And we talked for probably 20 minutes while I'm driving down the road. And he points out to me, he says, Alan, well, you look at all these courses like Sand Hills in 94, Desno River in 2006, Prairie Club in 2010. So don't forget about the area towns that enhance their golf courses, and that's what hurt our membership out at the lake. He brings up Sutherland improved their course in 93. Arnold improved their course in 95. Curtis put in the new 9 holes in 94. And then I always get a big kick out of Augusta, wins out of Stapleton, did their course in 2000. But, you know, we all think we're a big city, North Platte, and those are all small little towns. But I know from my play at River's Edge that just north of North Platte, we probably had at least a dozen members that no longer play golf in North Platte, and they play at those small towns where there's now grass greens, and they can be with their neighborhood, their buddies, and all that kind of stuff and play. With that kind of growth going on, like I mentioned earlier, North Platte passed the bondage in 92 to build Iron Eagle. I don't know exactly what year we started play out there, but probably by 93, 94, sometime in that time period. The population of golfers in the country, it's unbelievable how they play. In the year 2000, there was just short of 29 million golfers in the United States. In 2010, that had declined to 25 million golfers. Now, 2016, it bumps up and shows a little bit of growth over the 2010 numbers. And it is very, very slight golf, just barely 26 million golfers. And then after that time, golf has had a resurgence, a very slight one every year. But the amazing fact is the growth does not come from on-course play. That has stayed flat. The growth has come from off-course play. And we're all saying to each other, what are you talking about? And things, you'll laugh at this. Putt-putt, which miniature golf, as you want to call it, driving ranges, and the big elephant in the room is this thing called Top Golf, which is basically multi-layer golf, hitting out to electronic fields, and it's the most sophisticated thing there is out there, but it is social golf. It is not on-course golf. So my point is how bleak on-course golfing is for the United States as well as Lincoln County and North Platte. I'd like to wrap up by saying to you that I got to get these pages, man. It's fun putting this together after I got home here. America has a glut of golf courses, just as Lincoln County has. As a long-term businessman in this area, my family and myself, my best decisions and my family's best decisions were to cut my losses and move on. Amplify the things I'm doing really well and get away from the things that I wasn't doing well and move on. And I want the city council and the leadership of this community to do what Mr. Erickson just suggested. If you don't want to take a vote here from a council and do it, put it on the ballot, and let's see how the population, the non-golfers, talk about us losing money every year out at the golf course, and listen to what they have to say. It takes the monkey off your back. It'd be real easy to do. But I would hope some of you would stand up and say, geez,
Alan, I think we're getting close.
okay, I'm done here. You guys are stewards of the community and stewards of our money, And we expect, as a community, you to be very responsible with that money. And I thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
I'm Rich Reiner, 2602 Cedarberry Lane. I've lived in this community since 1974, put in 38 years with our school system. Have since retired, and now I'm enjoying a life of golf every other day. Well, it's not really that way, but some people think if you work at a golf course, it's all play and no work. But they can follow me around a couple days, they'd find out different. But anyway, what I would like to, and I've talked to each one of you council members on the telephone a couple weeks ago, and I have not, or have yet to hear of a judge tell me that a government entity is not in competition with private enterprise. When you're running a golf course with taxpayers' money and 3 other golf courses are running it with the money that they take in. I've yet to have a judge tell me that is not government entities in competition with private enterprise. So I think we need to really think about that. Secondly, if you're going to continue running this golf course, I think you need to make the playing field level. 3 golf courses in this community start with 0. This next year, Iron Eagle is going to start with $131,279. To me, that's not a level playing field. The things that I wrote a letter to the editor, it may have been a year ago, concerning the ad that ran in our local newspaper, giving people that wanted to be members at Iron Eagle 20% off if they paid their dues before January 1st, 15% off if they paid them by February 1st, 10% off if they paid them by March 1st. My question is, where is that money going to be made up? And you and I all know that the answer to that question is tax dollars, yours and mine and everybody else that's sitting around out here. So I think, continuing to subsidize this golf course with tax money and Keno funds, I really think that we're doing a disservice to this community by keeping this golf course open in the manner that it's being kept open. I'm not saying close it. I'm saying put it on a level playing field with the other ones and let's see what happens. I read in the newspaper where several people have indicated that they think that golf course is going to make money in the next couple of years. For 22 years, it hasn't made a dime. And as Alan said, if you're going to run the thing the same way year after year after year, and you're not making money, it's not going to make money. So I think it's time that we really take a real hard look at what's going on out there, and if nothing else, start at 0 and let's see what happens. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Public hearing's been closed. All right, item number 11, public hearing on resolution setting the property tax rate for fiscal year 2018 and 2019. No action taken until September 6th.
Motion to close public hearing.
And public hearing's been closed. Item number 12, consider request by 308 BMX Inc. to approve license agreement to operate a motocross racetrack on property owned by the city of North Platte. The property requested is a portion of the tract of land referred to as South Park, located in the southeast quadrant of Walker Road and South Buffalo Road.
Move that we consider a request by 308 BMX Incorporated to approve license agreement to operate a motocross racetrack on property owned by the city of North Platte. The property requested is a portion of the tract of land referred to as South Park, located in the southeast quadrant of Walker Road and South Buffalo Road.
Second.
Lenny?
Lenny Hind, 7601 Fortune Hills Road, North Platte.
Sorry, just waiting to make sure all the votes were in.
If we go ahead and vote, it's done. So if you
Okay,
want to
sorry.
talk, now's the time to talk.
Thank you. Shantae Durham from Linda Meyer and Dawson, 3903 West Park Drive, here in North Platte, Nebraska. You guys should have received, I think last Thursday, after our meeting with Mr. Stack and Mr. Hawk, and after our last time before the council, we've made some changes as can be reflected in the license agreement, which I believe was circulated to all council members hopefully last week. So you had an opportunity to review it prior to today's meeting. I don't know if you would like me to highlight some of the changes or if you have questions about anything in those documents that you'd like us to address.
My only question, and I don't know if I defer this to you or to Doug, but items 11 and item number 19 kind of contradict themselves. Item 11 says the term of this lease commences October 1st, 2018. Item 19 says that this starts the moment this is signed. So which is it? Is it October 1st or is it today?
Well, I believe there was a change made. The board pointed that out, and I don't know, maybe I changed it to say upon commencement of this agreement in item number 19 in my copy, but perhaps that didn't make it circulated.
That's what I have in 19.
Okay.
But what I
So,
mean is, so that would be today.
upon commencement, if it says the commencement date is October 1st, it would be upon commencement. That's what we tried to make it
Okay.
so it lines up, but if
So we
that-
just wanted to know. That's all I wanted to know. I had
Okay.
some people ask me, so.
October 1st, 2018 would be the commencement of the agreement. Any other questions about the information in here? I believe most of the concerns that were brought up at the last meeting are addressed in the text here.
Yes, Doug?
Actually, we spoke about a provision in the contract relating to the return of any money generated back into the enterprise.
Right.
I didn't find that in the agreement.
I did not put that in the agreement since it's a license agreement, and I think it kind of goes without saying that if they're doing concessions, that it's their funds. Since they are responsible, it does say they are the ones responsible for all improvements on the property and, maintaining those improvements at their own expense. I guess if you feel that it's necessary, I don't think it's necessary for a license agreement to say that they're gonna keep the money from their concessions.
Will anyone be drawing a wage?
Not at this time, no.
Not at this time?
And since they're functioning, since they're functioning as a 5013C nonprofit, I believe their returns are public record.
There was a change that I noticed that I don't think we spoke about.
Which one was that?
In paragraphs 7 and 8.
I don't believe, which change are you
The
referring to?
words "as improved" have been added, so that.
On which paragraph?
7 and 8. The words "as improved" have been added to apparently mean that if the enterprise is surrendered, you don't have to return it to its original state if it's returned as improved.
I guess I'm not sure that that is a change from our original. Let me pull out our original.
I may stand corrected, but I think that's probably what that means.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Requirements or requests at the last city council meeting that we wanted, someone on the council suggested that rather than leaving it up to BMX to remove their improvements, that we wanted that right, they wanted that right to be the city's right. So I believe that's addressed in paragraph 7.
But
by
this does seem
and
to
8.
give BMX the right to walk away without returning the property to its original state.
Well, there's also some question, the city is also involved in the improvement of this property in this agreement as well. And the improvement being paragraph 5, the participation, preparation of the site. So the city is involved in that, and then it does give the city in paragraph 8 the right to decide whether they wish BMX to remove anything that's capable of removal without damage to the premises. The city has the right to exercise that option as set out in paragraph 8. Or to leave it improved, as improved by BMX, and let BMX walk away should, in the future, BMX dissolve and no longer be in existence. So I think it's a win-win for the city, either way.
Yes, sir.
Now, the way that's worded, I would take that as improvements such as the parking lot, the water, the sewer, the electrical, correct? Or what other kind of improvements are we talking, like dirt work?
Anything that improves.
I mean, because if it's the parking lot, the water, the sewer, stuff like that, I think it would behoove us as a city if 308 was to dissolve, to keep that in case we want to put something else there of our own on a city park, then we would already have the infrastructure there. We wouldn't need to spend money to create it.
My question wasn't so much about infrastructure as it was the bringing of dirt in and building mounds or whatever it is.
The ramps and stuff, okay. That's what I wanted to know, what you meant by improvements, so.
And I think on the issue of improvements, I think the board also envisions possibly being able to actually build a structure like a bathroom and concessions, which would be further improvements on the land that, again, would be a benefit to the city should they ever decide to use it for something else, because it would already be set up to be used as a public park, obviously for a specific purpose.
I wanted to point those things out to the council.
I wanted to point out to the council that in light of our meeting, we did make some changes specifically to paragraph 4. I know it was not requested from the council regarding liability, and it wasn't brought up as being a concern, but the board, I think it was from the council, but it was addressed, I think, from our meeting with the city attorney and the city administrator, that basically we're saying while we're in construction that it's insured for up to $1 million, and then after construction, prior to the track opening for any type of events, that insurance would then bump up to the $5 million. So that's the board taking on the additional insurance liability coverage. And I know there was lots of questions that were asked last time about funding, and we weren't prepared for those questions. We were here just for the issue of the license agreement, but I believe you received information reflecting what's been done, what the board has in terms of their financial position and what their estimated costs are, and I think you'll see that they're right there. I mean, we're really close, and it's at the point when I think we can move forward.
Got a quick question for Doug, I guess. So with that liability insurance they would be carrying, as well as the city's blanket insurance,
I'm sorry, they'd be what?
as with their coverage right here for events and things like that, and then the city also, because it's still considered a city park ground at that point in time, does our blanket insurance? So I'm curious, make sure theirs would come before.
Well, the reason we generally request $5 million in coverage is because our insurance carrier is responsible for up to $5 million. And they encourage us to take the position that the person in control of the premises and the people that are responsible for operating the operation are responsible for the $5 million that.
So if something catastrophic happened, they would take care of their end, and then
That's
ours would
the
kick in on top.
That's the idea.
Okay.
So that we wouldn't have anything on top.
That's what I was curious about.
So we help protect our insurance carrier.
Okay. Thanks.
That's where that change came from, to address that concern.
Yes, sir?
$34,000, is that actual cash you have on hand? Top line.
I have Susan Moline here to answer any of the financial questions that you might have. I'll get her. Hold on. Oh, okay.
Susan Moline, 3685 South Willow Street, North Platte, Nebraska. The $34,000, actually, we have a little over $30,000 in the bank right now.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry, what was that?
we have a little over $30,000 in the bank right now, as of this moment.
And I notice you've got to come up with dollars to get anything done. Do you think $30,000 is enough?
To start?
Yes.
No, I don't. And I think we can get more money once we get this agreement signed. And we will, some of the other funds that have been committed to us, which are listed on that page, will be more forthcoming. Because some of those, some of the monies that we have committed to us are contingent on us having agreement with the city. So more of that will be available to us.
Question real quick for you on that. So on your donations committed, what are the stipulations on all of those? I mean, how many of them are upon signage of this, or how many of them are upon completion, how many of them are upon a whatever?
The Visitors Bureau is on completion, and that would be of the track. So we
I'm
would-
talking about the donations committed.
Oh, the donations committed. I believe several of them are just waiting for this agreement to be signed, and there's no other.
You believe or you know?
Huh?
You believe or you know?
I don't know for sure. I know that, I think the Keenan donation is held at the Nebraska Community Foundation, and theirs goes along with the foundation's grant. And that is once the project is started and once the agreement is signed.
What was the fundraising goal that you guys set up with Mid-Nebraska Community Foundation? What was the number you gave them? Because that's what it says in here, beginning upon reaching fundraising goal. So what is that goal that you guys gave them?
Actually, I don't know. I don't have a copy of the grant itself. And it didn't stipulate in the information that we received back from them what that fundraising goal was.
So it's just whatever you guys say it is?
Probably. It's probably whatever you guys say it is.
Any of these, whether they be grants or the donations, are any of those matching? Are you gonna have to come up with matching numbers?
The Visitors Bureau is matching. They will match 75% of an amount. So we would have to spend whatever that 75% of.
Martin, mine actually is a matching one-for-one also through the railroad as an employee.
So the railroad's gonna match that,
Yes, one-for-one.
but they don't,
But that's separate from,
my concern is, here's $10,000, but you gotta come up with $10,000.
oh, no, that, the Visitors Bureau is the only one that's a matching grant. The rest of these are not. They're just money that will come in at some point when they, in some cases, these are second halves of grants that, or donations that we've already received the first half of in this year, so we'll be receiving them the second half either later this year or the beginning of next year.
So my question, out of that 34,000, you're gonna have to come up with 25,000 to match.
To match,
The Lincoln County visitors.
right, we'll have to come up with more to spend, which we anticipate doing. I mean, this isn't the end of our fundraising. We have a lot more in the pipeline that we're working on, but, because I don't think that what we have in the bank right now is enough for us to start this project at all. So we still need to actually raise more cash funds, which some of these donations will come in probably within the next 6 months, or three to 6 months.
Yes.
So you want us to start our side of the project without you guys having all of your guys' stuff lined up?
I don't.
Because it says October 1st, then we have to start our side, right?
No, if you look at paragraph in the, there was a concern that was raised at the last meeting regarding when this would start. And we took out the reference to 60 days. And, let me find it real quick.
It's item 5.
Is it
Yeah, paragraph 5A.
Is it paragraph 5? It discusses providing reasonable notice and sufficient time for the city to make arrangements. I think that's intentionally left broad so that we're giving sufficient notice that they have sufficient funds to begin the kind of construction, and that gives the city plenty of time then to make arrangements, whether it's weather, and it's also weather permitting, to clear the debris and level the track for construction.
Okay.
So there's no clock ticking once the agreement is signed, other than it allows them to continue their fundraising efforts.
How long do you anticipate having the funds to make it all happen? What I'm concerned about is having this open-ended clock. And 5 years from now, it still isn't working.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Your concern is what? How long it's gonna take to get it opened?
Yeah, because you can't, what your fundraising efforts may take the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. At what point do we say, okay, enough's enough, we have
Well,
another project?
progress always takes some time, but I think certainly having a license agreement allows people to be more fully committed to fundraising. I think the board, in speaking with them, their goal is in the spring to be able to begin construction. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's the goal for the board. So that allows, winter's coming up, it's gonna be difficult to really build anything like this outside with winter, so that really allows them to push through the winter time to get the rest of the fundraising in place to begin construction.
So if this gets signed tonight or approved tonight, what happens tomorrow?
Well, one important
We're
thing.
gonna have to spend a
One
load of
really
money.
important thing that could potentially happen tomorrow is a grant that is, not tomorrow, but within the next 3 days, a grant that they are trying to get funds for that will go towards this, it needs to be decided, by September 7th?
Yes.
And Karen has some more information about that grant, but that grant is actually with the Nebraska Game and Parks and provides for some matching for any expenses that the city spends in helping. And she has some more information about that if you guys wish, but that's part of the urgency with us asking to come back to council meetings back to back to kind of be able to get this in place, because that grant, it could be substantial in helping move this along. And that's due by September 7th.
Tomorrow, next month is gonna be mostly fundraising.
Well, the city, there won't really be any construction until the city is ready also. And when speaking with Mr. Hawks, the city's going to need some time to make arrangements as well. And that's why we left it open with the reasonable time. So it's not like the city's going to be waiting on the board necessarily. They need time as well to prepare the site.
Any other questions? Would you still be able to do fundraising without this agreement?
The problem with the fundraising, Mayor, is, as I noted in my brain the last meeting, that Mr. Baker said that if we get the agreement, he would donate $3,000. This if is the problem.
Well, yeah, I know, there's
Our
a whole
grants
bunch
are
of
all-
ifs on here is my issue. There's a whole bunch of ifs.
Well, the grant,
I'm
I
really
think once the
struggling.
agreement is signed, this license agreement is signed, our grants will open up. It's all pending. I talked to Mr. Seacrest at Mid-Nebraska Foundation. He's not gonna talk to us until the agreement is signed. This is where it comes down to again.
The Game and Parks grant that Omaha just got $100,000 is contingent upon this agreement. They cannot apply for that grant without this agreement, and the city of Omaha got $100,000 in that grant.
Just really quick, Bunny. You guys have a total of 119,000. I mean, 5,300 of that is your PA system, which is donated, correct? I mean, so you can take that out of there. That puts you at 114,300. And you go look at what you have pledged right now and the donations currently, that puts you at 113,700. Minus the 3,000 for my matching, that puts you at 116,000. That actually puts you guys over construction costs. That's estimated, correct?
Yes.
So without this agreement, this 72,000, we'll say I'm at 71,900, you cannot go collect that money until you have an agreement, correct?
Correct.
So basically, if without an agreement, your hands are tied on raising that $72,000.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
I know it's the next agenda item, but I think it's part of this discussion. There's a reference in the resolution, I think authorizing the mayor to sign, is it an application for the grant that you're talking about?
Yes.
There's a provision that says that the city of North Platte has budgeted or currently has available its 50% match of the proposed total project funds. How does that work? I'm just real curious.
So if we, oh, go ahead. Karen can do it. She's better at
Well,
this
I'll
than I
come
am.
up here. Hi, I'm Karen Lang, and I reside at 205 South Mill Isle Drive, number 39, and I'm the one doing the grants. We have the money in the cash and the grants and the other funds that we've already got that you have the sheet on, so we can justify what we're asking, which I'm still working on the budget for the grant because I wanted to wait until we knew if you were even going to approve it tonight. But we need to have that paperwork. It can be a significant grant, and we can also figure in city costs that we're asking for you in the grant, not just us. So it's a win-win for both you guys and us.
I have a specific question. I didn't understand your question on the next agenda item.
Well, the next agenda item is a resolution authorizing the mayor to, I think, probably sign the application for the grant. Is that right?
Exactly. That is one of the documents that we need to submit for the grant.
Right, and that resolution, 50%.
When I'm writing the grant, what we'll use is the stuff that we have already collected. So it won't be the city's fund that we're going to use for the 50, but it has to be submitted under the city's, that's one of the requirements, is it's the city that submits it. But we're doing it in a partnership with 308 BMX.
Says the city has budgeted or currently has available its 50% match. So you're saying it's your money,
It's our money.
but how much is that 50%?
Well, I haven't determined yet. I'm waiting to, I'm going to meet tomorrow with Judy Clark, and we're going to go over some of the costs that we can include for the city. So I don't have the cost yet, but we have easily 50,000 of it, or 50% of it, so I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
Did I answer your question, or?
I don't
No? No.
I don't know.
I'm confused.
Basically,
Yes.
just so I'm understanding, this grant that we're talking about, this is one that only a municipality can actually apply for. You guys can't apply for.
We cannot apply for it
directly.
without you.
So we have to say it's the city's money in this proposal in order to apply for it. We can't say it's your money, but if we say the city has the money, even though you guys have it, you hand it to us, we give the 50% to them.
Yes, and the funds will be dispersed. What we'll have to do is spend the money first, and then they reimburse.
Okay. Does that make, that
So
help?
the city will have to administer it as far as the grant, but there would be no liability for the city because we'd have the funds.
I guess we're,
Does that make sense?
yeah, but what if you don't come through? We're still hung up.
Well, we already have over 100,000 of commitments.
So you got letters that we'll commit.
Yes, we have documents, yes. They're signed documents saying that, yes, when we have enough funds to make this happen, that they'll give us the money. The only one that it hinges on that we have to wait on is the tourism one.
Brooke, back to your comment there about the expenses too, I would just remind you that those are only the expenses for the improvements that they're gonna put on, not the cost that, right, it wouldn't be the parking lot and everything else that we need to.
But we can include that in the grant, Jim. We can even
Part of
include,
that could be used as in-kind match, that's correct.
and we can do even part of the employee costs for city employees.
I think there's even still some potential discussion regarding donations of materials as well that could be given to the city to use out there to help the city with their cost.
Jim, if you give me any figure, what it's gonna cost the city to do this.
I really can't. The only thing I can do is go back to that original estimate that was prepared by TC Engineering that showed it at about 188,000.
Over diminishing quality, but there has to be a middle ground. And I do question the Dixie aspect of this. I can definitely see Philip being better. But there's also going to be a lot of traffic that has to go around to Lakeview if they don't just go down Dixie. So on and so forth. Thank you for your time.
Travis, what was your last name? Griebel?
Yeah.
Yeah, Judy, come on.
Sir.
My name is Ed, excuse me, my name is Ed Reeker. I don't live in that area. I've been in North Platte since 1979. I don't have a particular axe to grind with the properties, but since you said we could talk about TIF, I would like to bring this up. I'd hoped to bring it up at the budget hearing, but there was so much noise in the hall I couldn't hear when the hearing was going on. So for the last 15 years, we've been told if we give public money to private development, that our tax rates are going to go down and our population is going to increase. It hasn't worked out that way. Right now, according to the Department of Revenue, North Platte is number 6 in the state in tax burden per capita. Number 6. I think that's kind of a dubious honor. When I look at the trade area around North Platte, I looked at Arthur County, Chase County, Cherry County, Dawson County, Dundee County, Frontier County, Grant County, Hitchcock County, Hayes County, Hooker County, Keith County, Lincoln County, Logan County, McPherson County, Perkins County, Red Willow County, and Thomas County. From 2010 to 2017, those counties have lost 2,665 people. Those are all within our trade area. I'm continually asked, why are we losing our businesses in town? You can't have a business without a customer. And if we continue to raise our taxes, we're going to be continuing to drive the population right out of town. If you look at that 2,665 people that have left this trade area in the last 7 years, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the per capita income of those people would be $27,474. If you take the 2,474 times the loss in population of 2,665, we have an annual loss in revenue from those people not being in our counties anymore of $27,700,000. That's money that a good portion of may very well have been spent in this town. And if we keep raising our taxes, that number's only going to get worse. People ask me about Kearney. Keep in mind, North Platte is number 6 in the ranking of total property tax levies in the city. Kearney is number 25. So if I'm looking at bringing a business or an industry into this town, why would I locate here when my property taxes are going to be 3 times higher here than they would be if I moved to Kearney? I think these are things we need to take into consideration. We're losing our population base. We've got to figure out how we're going to change that, or we're going to continue to be spreading higher taxes over fewer people. And that's not a very good position to be in. I thank you.
Rich Thompson, 803 Clearwater Court. I just want to briefly say that I am moving from 3520 Edna Court and bought this new property on the basis we had already been through this once when they tried to rezone it another time, and we had nixed it. So a week after I closed on a new property is when we get the letter that they wanted to redo it again. I just asked, as a property owner that owns 2 homes now that abut the property, I'm going to be selling one very shortly, I hope, that you guys would keep it R1, which it was when we bought our home on Edna Court, what it was when we bought our home on Clearwater. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I make a motion to close public hearing?
Second.
Public hearing closed.
Make a motion to adopt the recommendation by the North Platte Planning Comprehensive Plan, or the amendment to the North Platte Comprehensive Plan 2011 to amend certain lands from residential low density single family to residential medium density single duplex and multifamily located at 3601 West Phillip Avenue and 802 to 820 Dixie Avenue, and described as Gosnell Estates first replat of Block 3 Gosnell's Estate, first subdivision, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska.
Question. If Dixie's in that bad a shape and it's that narrow a street, who is going to assume the responsibility of making that a street that's wide enough to travel on?
It would be the city's responsibility to make improvements on that street at some point.
We'd have to pick up the tab on it.
So, quick question, or I mean, just to respond to a couple of the comments that were made, and they asked about the fire department. The fire department, that's the reason why Station 3 was put out there, was for further growth on the west end of town. I don't really know about the police very much, but I'll assume that they're in okay shape to cover it. And the schools have talked about it before, that their school out at Eisenhower out there was not full to capacity, and that they were open for increased enrollment. So, those were some complaints that they had, as well as Dixie. You know, I drove Dixie. I will tell you, I drove Dixie this weekend to go see it, and it's been, a year and a half, 2 years probably since I've been down Dixie. And I'll tell you, it is, I agree, a completely narrow street, and it needs some work. And but I think that a project like this is something that's going to be a catalyst to us being able to work on a road like that.
Could we get Judy to speak?
Jim?
I drive on Dixie almost probably 5 days a week. It's hard to get off of Phillip Avenue onto Buffalo Bill so I can go home when I make a visit out that way. I use Dixie a lot. It always amazed me that we spend a lot of money on our streets. it's hard to keep infrastructure in good shape to drive on. I've often wondered, why haven't we improved? I share these people's concerns about safety out there. Why hasn't something been done with Dixie in the past? What's holding it up? Can you offer any help on that, Jim?
No, I really can't, Jim, other than the fact that I remember, I believe it was when we extended it from where it used to stop there, and extended it down to Phillip, that there was quite a concern at that time that we would go in there and widen the whole thing out. And so, but other than that, I really don't know. I think it's just part of the old county road surface that was in there from years ago.
Well, I guess my concern is that it's not safe to drive on. It really isn't. And you do have to almost drive on people's lawns in order to meet another vehicle. And it seems to me that that should come first. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who live on Dixie, in fact, I've talked to some that don't want to widen Dixie because it would cost them that beautiful pine tree, or it would, they feel, take away from the aesthetics of their property. Nevertheless, I think before a development of this kind should go in, I think the ingress and egress issues ought to be addressed first. That's just my personal opinion. I would like to hear from the two Ward 2, I want to put you guys on the spot, but where do you come down? These are folks who are your constituents. Where do you guys come down on this? Or would you like to speak in favor of or against this issue? That's all I have.
I have another question then on Dixie. In order to make that, excuse me, in order to make that street wide enough, would we have to acquire more ground?
No, I don't think so, Glenn. If I remember right, the right-of-way is there, but as Mr. Carmen stated, there has been some concern voiced by several of the residents along there about widening the street out, but I believe the right-of-way is wide enough to facilitate a wider street section through there.
So then who would pay the cost?
Again, it would come back to the city.
So all the taxpayers would pay the cost?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just looking at this, again, I'm not an expert. I don't like the access issue. I think there's too much traffic going on to Dixie. I don't think it's I think you have to come up with a better plan.
You wanted to put me on the spot. I'll be on the spot. I intend to vote against this.
Go ahead. Yes, sir? Go right ahead.
Thank you. I came in here, I was gonna vote for this. I'm a little bit disappointed that these folks ostensibly didn't really feel like they got a fair shake with the planning commission. Generally, I go with the planning commission. I place a lot of trust in those folks, and I still do. I don't mean to take a shot at them because I think they're doing their best to try to do the right thing. So, but at this point, I'm opposed to this issue.
So real quick, to defend the planning commission, they have very, very narrow parameters in which they are allowed to discuss and work on projects like this. So, you know, they try to do as best as they can inside the very narrow questions that the scope that they are given to operate, whereas we have a lot larger scope where you were able to talk about the issues that you wanted to, and that's why we always have the final say. So I just wanted to kind of defend the planning commission a little bit. They just have a very narrow scope of what they're allowed to discuss and have discussed.
Can I make a comment to that? The planning commission.
You'll have to, sir? You'll have to come up here, please.
Tom Pfeiffer, 813 Dixie. The Planning Commission shut me down on talking about TIF for this planning. That was on the open meeting. But as soon as they closed the open meeting and went to the closed meeting session, one of the members, the first one that spoke about property in Kearney, Nebraska that he looked at that had been TIF'd, but he didn't say it had been TIF'd, that they put these houses in, and that just seemed to be working real well. So, they can talk about it, but we aren't allowed to. And if that had any bearing on their vote, well, it's a vote against all of us. And that's all I've got to say about that. It was pretty discouraging. When we left there, we were all in shock. The kicking the can down the road, that's just what happened.
Can we call the question?
That's a motion to end debate.
We've been on this subject for a half an hour.
Yeah, second it'll die. Sounds like it dies from lack of a second.
Lawrence, you had a question?
I would like to have Judy come up here. There's some things that I heard. I was at that planning commission.
Yes, and I defend the planning commission. Thank you.
There was they kept saying 1,400 square feet. I heard Lonnie say 1,600 square feet.
Okay.
The purpose what I heard was, at that meeting, the idea from R1 to R2 was that you could lower it down to 7,500 square feet. Is that correct?
Okay, the original purpose from going from an R1 residential district to an R2 was not necessarily to allow duplex housing. The only thing an R2 does is it will allow you for duplex housing, not multifamily housing. So you cannot do apartment complexes or anything like that in an R2. So the basic difference between the two, and I believe you guys all got a copy of the differences between the R1 and the R2 district, is it does allow for smaller lot size. The reason the R2 district was asked for was to allow smaller lot, single-family development. Now, does that prohibit him from developing duplexes? No. But in order to develop a duplex, he would have to consolidate at least 2 of those lots. Because to qualify as a duplex house, you have to have 8,000 square feet as lot size. So he cannot put a duplex on the majority of those lots that he has laid out. Now, the other thing to remember too, this proposal that you're seeing in front of you is not the approved subdivision. That is his proposal, okay? It has to come back as a subdivision. So that subdivision could be reconfigured to, I know you guys have a lot of concerns with going off Dixie, it could be reconfigured. The engineering department might look at that and say, look, there's no way we're going off Dixie. They might reconfigure that subdivision because that you're looking at is just a proposed plan. That is in no way, shape, or form approved. So even if you approve the rezoning, that does not automatically approve that proposed site plan that you're seeing or the layout that you're seeing. Does not necessarily approve that. So it is possible that it could be reconfigured to come off of Phillip. I don't know if that's feasible or not, but it could possibly be changed. So you're not, I mean, that is his dream or his hope of what to do with that property, but that is not necessarily what you're approving. Planning Commission, when they're looking at this and when they are looking at it, the gentleman keeps saying we kick the can down the road. That's true to some extent because Planning Commission is there to make a recommendation to City Council. Planning Commission in this instance does not have the final say. So yes, are they kicking the can down the road? You bet they are. That's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to make a recommendation to you based on what they hear at the Planning Commission level. So that's where that goes.
Judy,
you have any other questions?
Yeah, one
Yes.
quick thing. What's our requirements for homes here and for a foundation in North Platte?
As far as
Footing, flat slab, basement, crawl space?
Depends on the size of the house, depends on what you
These
want to do.
homes.
I haven't looked at the plan, so I can't tell you for
I'm just
sure.
kind of wondering, because I mean, I happened to be in the building last week when this was going on, and I wandered by and I heard that the discussion of, and overheard, that there was discussion that these are all going to be on a concrete slab to help bring down the cost of these homes.
That would have to be approved through building if that was allowed, but I do not believe that. And maybe I don't know if Lonnie's still here. Was that a discussion? Okay.
Because I mean, I heard two people inside that room discussing that when I was in the hallway.
Can I explain just a little? I'm Lonnie Parsons. I live 4105 West Phillip. The proposed project, you know, it is 41 lots. We made them a little bit smaller lots because of the housing study that was done that says we need between 14 and 16. Our homes are going to be between 16 and 2,000 square feet. So they're not going to be, and they can come measure anytime they want, below 1,600 square foot homes. They're going to be on a crawl space because I was going to build them on a slab, but my wife said, what happens if a tornado goes through and you lose 6 people? So we're putting them on a crawl space.
When was that decision made? Was that after the planning commission or after you discussed
That's
with the
when-
person I heard from it?
Yeah, it's been since we decided to do this project.
Okay.
So on a crawl space, 16 to 2,000 square foot, brick faced houses. They are going to be built just as good as anybody around the neighborhood. They're going to have the 6-panel doors, granite countertops.
And on the record, how many duplexes are you going to do? All single-family homes, just small 1,600 square foot
single-family
homes?
I just had to get down to a
Price range?
a size of lot that would accommodate with the housing authority and get the price range of the homes to where they want them to be.
That's why I'm asking, what's your price range going to be?
It looks about 225, but I'm also going to give my $12,000 back to each person that I get for the shot in the arm to help buy down so they can make a deposit on the home. So that's what we're going to do with our money.
Jim?
I'm a little confused. That's normal. I'm trying to envision this. Now, one time I hear they're gonna be 1,200 to 1,400. Another time I hear now they're gonna be bigger than that. I don't get it. And here's another thing I don't get. If you're gonna build houses, now you're saying you're gonna build houses that are larger on a 50-foot lot?
So
Where
the
heck
1,600 square foot,
are-
1,600.
Yeah, I can understand why people don't want a big lawn to mow, but
It works out. It does work out. On the 1,600 square foot homes will go on the 50 wide lots. And we have also larger lots that I think the one plan's like right at 2,000 square foot that we're gonna be building.
will that be a double driveway? Double garage or single garage?
So they have to be for the housing study, 3 bedroom, 2 baths, 2-car garage.
Thank you.
I don't believe it.
Question real quick. For Judy. So if, let's say we just approve this change here in the comprehensive plan, then he has to come back with the plan that he wants, and that goes through the planning commission again, and then that comes back to the council. So then we can decide whether or not Lonnie's plan is actually viable for the lot, correct?
You're going to see this again a couple of times. If this is approved with the rezoning and everything, he has to come back with a subdivision, for one thing. Yes, that will go to planning commission and again through city council. He also, since he has some tax increment financing redevelopment plan going in, you will also hear that at the public hearing at planning commission and city council. So it will be back here multiple times.
So that would give us time to work on Dixie,
But the actual
right?
plan, what was that?
You're talking, what, 6 months? 3 months?
No, you'll see, it'll continue for each city council meeting
Okay.
as you go. So you're talking probably, if everything is approved, first council meeting in October, maybe second council
Okay.
meeting, depending on how it goes.
So anyways, we're not voting, it's gonna come back before us if we do this. So that way we can actually talk about the real
This will come back to you
plan.
at least 2 more times, at least.
We're
2 more
we're not
times.
setting it in stone that it has to be off of Dixie, even though it's the wide part of Dixie.
No, that is his ultimate plan, that is his goal. If that is not feasible, because it goes through the engineering department, planning, any other department that takes a look at it, if he can't get the water and sewer to go down the roads as he's going, then yes, it will have to be reconfigured.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
What are we voting
May I approach the bench, please? Terry Sigler, 3420 West F Street. From the North Platte Telegraph on August 29th, it says that the homes will be an average of 1,400 to 1,500 square feet. Lot sizes typically average 7,500 square feet. R2 single-family lots can be as small as 5,000 square feet. And Mr. Parsons' project would average 6,000 square feet, including a few that's 7,000 and 8,000 square feet. That was in the paper. Thank you.
Do you believe the city planner did that?
Public hearing back open?
No.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Lonnie, could you come back in? Just, thank you. This gentleman read a newspaper article that said, now, who's telling the truth here, the newspaper or you?
I showed them the plans at the planning commission, and it was a 1,632 square foot that I showed them at the planning commission. I don't know where that come from, because I did not do an interview after the planning commission.
All right, so you're saying 1,600 square feet,
I'll guarantee everybody that it's gonna be above 1,600 square foot. homes.
3-bedroom, 2
Two
bath,
baths,
2-car garage. Thank you.
What are we voting? What did you approve? Approve it.
Item 14 of 21. Glenn, that's you.
Glenn, it's up to you. Glenn.
Big bucks.
I am going to say yes, based on Mr. Lonnie Parsons' information saying he will build 1,600 square foot, 3-car garage, or 2-car garage, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and we can talk about changes that are coming off it, because what I'm hearing is the concerns about coming off in Dixie, and I understand that. Hopefully those changes can be made to the liking of the folks that had some issues this evening, but it will give us some more opportunity in the near future to discuss this further. So, and I want to thank everybody for coming up here. I really, truly appreciate what you're, because that's a difficult thing, so thank you.
We are gonna get this back again, though.
Yes. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about this some more. All right. Item number 16, I see we have another public hearing.
15.
Oh, 15?
Yeah, that was only 14.
Half done.
Does anybody need a break?
Yeah.
Yeah, to next week.
10 minutes.
Can we
All
make
right.
a 5-minute break?
Can we take about a 5-minute break? All right, stand up, stretch, get your wits about you.
I got one down on the floor.
Excuse me real quick.
I don't know. They don't like me. They know I won't say anything.
That'll teach you.
What?
long time ago. I didn't know it's been a long time. It's not a long time.
Only like 3 Republicans.
The next one's about the same thing. We'll have fun. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm from Galway.
Where?
Galway.
Okay. No idea where that's at. I've only been to Shannon.
Yeah, that's in Clare. So, yeah, you're not far. That's where I fly into. When I go home, I fly into Shannon,
Every time we
rent my car.
gracious, dude. Yeah, you need to go sit down with that.
I don't blame you there, buddy.
I told him we get supper afterwards.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah, I gotta eat. Shannon, that was their drop-off. Yeah, that's their. Yeah, that's. Still there. It's my last glass of Guinness before I get on the plane and come back this way.
That was my first one when we landed. My last one.
Very distinctly different reactions.
After being over there for 6 months and slamming one of those, it's a great flight home.
And which branch are you in?
Remember, you're one of those.
Well, our son is in the Navy, so it's like.
Well, that's what I
we
said.
gotta
Your
go.
son at least joined the men's department.
I don't know. It depends on who you talk to. See ya.
Get going. 5 minutes. You go sit out there. Okay, fine. Go sit out there until we get done.
Good, how are you? I don't know. We'll know until
When he
it's
gets
on.
me these minutes, yeah.
Sit there and they said, I was at that. Guy Lucas told me.
Hey, let's don't make up for our 5-minute meetings.
Hey, listen, Smith, when I run around.
I'm not making them done.
I hope none of the department heads are here already.
It really boils down to they don't want to do their background.
She's
They
not.
want to keep it the way they want it.
But I'm telling you, that thing, those people go always listen.
Sure. Well, right.
He's on overtime right now.
They don't want
I
to.
said, right, that lady sitting
He's
there.
got no reason to be here.
Sat in the chair and Lonnie said,
Oh my God, let's hurry up and get to that.
He does have a reason.
You're right, he does.
And so does Mayor Lee, so they're waiting for
Yeah.
you.
Come on, Andrew.
I'm not working for the city right now. I get $300.
They wouldn't let me out of the hallway.
22 cents every month.
Tell him you got stuff to do.
Like Steve.
There he is. Pass the Mohicans, come on.
And make the mayor do it again.
How many times you had to do that, Mayor?
That's the third time in 4 years.
Yeah.
The very first meeting and then 2 tonight.
I like that.
I thought you were serious. Out of here.
I like that. Okay.
We weren't hot.
All right, let's see, we have everybody back, so we'll begin with item number 15. Public hearing and action to adopt ordinance number 3999 to rezone certain lands from an R1 dwelling district to an R2 dwelling district located at 3601 West Phillip Avenue and 802 and through 820 Dixie Avenue. The property is described as Gosnell Estates, first replat Block 3, Gosnell's Estate, first subdivision, North Platte, Lane County, Nebraska.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
needed to talk.
How does this change from the last one we just went through?
That changed the comprehensive plan.
Now we're rezoning.
Looking at
The land
zoning.
type, but not the plan itself.
You did what?
Yeah.
And public hearing is closed.
Would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
An ordinance of the City of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, rezoning land situated in North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska as follows. Rezoning from R1 dwelling district to R2 dwelling district, Gosnell Estates first replat of Block 3, Gosnell Estates first subdivision, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance number 3999 to rezone certain lands from an R1 dwelling district to an R2 dwelling district located at 3601 West Phillip Avenue at 802 to 820 Dixie Avenue. Property is described as Gosnell Estates First Replat, Block 3, Gosnell Estate First Subdivision, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska.
Second.
Get the right one here.
There you go.
And I would say yes to that as well. Okay. Item number 16, public hearing and action on ordinance number 4000 to adopt a recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission regarding vacating Gosnell Estate, first replat of Block 3, Gosnell's Estate, first subdivision, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska.
Make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Q, Jim.
That motion passes. Go to close public hearing.
Mo-
Yes, please.
An ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, vacating an existing subdivision plat, creating Gosnell's Estates first replat of Block 3, Gosnell Estates first subdivision, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, providing for the effective date of this ordinance and the publication thereof.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance number 4000, a recommendation by the North Platte Planning Commission regarding vacating Gosnell Estates First Replat of Block 3, Gosnell Estate First Subdivision, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska.
Second.
And that motion passes. Item number 17, third reading and action to approve ordinance number 3995 for amendment of the City of North Platte Code of Ordinances, section 150.030 relating to the International Building Code relating to elevators and conveying systems. Yes, please.
An ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, amending sections 150.030 of the municipal code of the city relating to the International Building Code to remove enforcement of Chapter 30 of said code relating to elevators and conveying systems, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance number 3995 for amendment to the City of North Platte Code Ordinance, section 150.030 relating to International Building Code relating to elevators and conveyance systems.
Second.
Motion passes. Item number 18, consider resolution consenting to the sale and consumption of alcoholic liquor on property owned by the City of North Platte, including a portion of West Fifth Street during the Creativity Unlimited Arts Council and Prairie Arts Center Husker Football Tailgate event on October 13th, 2018.
Make a motion to adopt resolution consenting to the sale and consumption of alcoholic liquor on property owned by the City of North Platte, including a portion of West Fifth Street during the Creative Unlimited Arts Council and Prairie Arts Center Husker Football Tailgate event on October 13th, 2018.
Second.
Oh.
You read it too fast.
Why hit it? Let's fix that.
Motion passes. Item number 19, approve application by Creativity Unlimited Arts Council and Prairie Arts Center for a special designated license on October 13th, 2018, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Prairie Arts Center, 416 North Jefferson Street for a Husker football tailgate event.
Make a motion to approve application by Creativity Unlimited Arts Council and Prairie Arts Center for a special designated license October 13, 2018 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Prairie Arts Center, 416 North Jefferson Street for a Husker football tailgate event.
Second.
That motion passes. Item number 20, approve agreement between the City of North Platte and BioAg Solutions LLC relating to the collection and disposing of yard waste and wood shavings by BioAg Solutions LLC.
Make a motion to approve said agreement.
Second.
Yes, sir?
Who's doing it now? They are. Jerry Santee is here with BioAg Solutions. They're doing it, but they're going to be continuing to do it at a reduced cost to the city.
Hey. Thanks.
Motion passes. Item number 21, adopt a new drug and alcohol policy for the Public Transit Department, which will take effect immediately.
Make a motion to adopt a new drug and alcohol policy for the Public Transit Department, which will take effect immediately.
Motion passes. Item number 22, adopt a resolution to purchase two 12-passenger buses with a wheelchair lift for the Public Transit Department.
Move that we adopt a resolution to purchase two 12-passenger buses with wheelchair lifts for the Public Transportation Department.
Second.
Yes, sir?
They are.
Motion passes. And item number 23, adopt a resolution authorizing disposal by sale of surplus personal property by the North Platte Water Department.
Make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing disposal of sale of surplus personal property by North Platte Water Department.
Second.
What kind of personal property are we talking about? Just like equipment?
We have a bunch of old, we got a bunch of old water valves and
Okay,
things that
stuff
we
like
can't
that.
use
Okay,
in the
gotcha.
system anymore.
Gotcha. Outdated. Gotcha.
Motion passes.
Pay the claims.
Got it.
Come on, Angie.
Motion. We gotta wait for her to clear it. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, everyone.